अखिल भुवन जन्मस्तेम भंगादिलीले विनत विविध व्रात भूतैक रक्षैक दीक्षे श्रुति शिरसि विदीप्ते ब्रह्मणि श्रीनिवासे भवतु मम परस्मिन् सेमुषी भक्ति रूपा यतो वा इमानि भूतानि जायन्ते येन जातानि जीवन्ति यत् प्रयन्ति अभिशं विशन्ति तत् विजिज्ञासस्व तत् ब्रह्मेति विष्णोः सकाशात् उद्भूतं जगत् तत्रैव च संस्थितम् स्थिति संयमकर्तासौ जगतोस्य जगच्च सः अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने सदैक रूप रूपाय विष्णवे सर्वजिष्णवे व्यासाय विष्णु रूपाय व्यास रूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः. In order to integrate and present all the Upanishads in a very systematic manner, Vedavyasa composed Brahma Sutras, popularly also known as Vedanta Sutras. The first 4 sutras of Brahma Sutra, celebrated as Chatussutri, form the very essence of the body of knowledge called the Vedanta Sutras. Athato Brahma Jigyasa Janmadyasya Yataha Shastra Yonitvat Tattu Samanvayat. These are the first 4 sutras of Brahma Sutras, popularly celebrated as Chatussutri. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Then and therefore inquiry of Brahman. The very first sutra establishes that inquiry of that Brahman, that Paramatma, Bhagavan, the Supreme Being. The inquiry of the Supreme Being begins rooted in the realization of the futility of material rewards and the fragility of materialistic life. Janmadyasya Yataha. In the second sutra, Badarayana, Vedavyasa, establishes the definition of God. Who is Brahman? How do we define him? How do we know him? What are his distinguishing features, distinguishing characteristics? Shastra Yonitvat. Through the third sutra, Vyasa categorically establishes that the only means to know Brahman, the Paramatma, the only means to know him, to realize him, is the pramana of Shastras, Shabda Pramana. Tattu Samanvayat. With the fourth sutra of the Chatussutri, Vyasa ensures and clarifies that it is the Upanishads which reveal in all his glory the Supreme Being to us. And the Upanishads establish that Bhagavan, the embodiment of infinite bliss, who is endowed with infinite auspicious qualities, is the goal, is the supreme goal of all human endeavor. Thus, right at the beginning of Brahma Sutras, Vedavyasa sets the theme, sets the tone, and sets the stage for the great work, which essentially captures the very essence of all Vedanta. And when Vyasa began to write Srimad Bhagavatam in order to celebrate the glories of Krishna, celebrate the greatness of Krishna Paramatma, it is no surprise that Vedavyasa begins Srimad Bhagavatam by borrowing his own sutra, Janmadhyasya Yataha. Janmadhyasya Yatonvayad Itaratascha Atteshu Abhigyaswarad. This is how Srimad Bhagavatam begins, the very first shloka of Srimad Bhagavatam. Essentially indicating that Srimad Bhagavatam is a definitive guide to understand Brahma Sutras. Janmadhyasya Yataha. Straight away establishing Janmadhyasya Yataha, that Bhagavan Narayana is the cause of the threefold cosmic functions. Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti avisamvishanti, tat vijigyasasva tad brahmeti. He is the source, is the cause of all causes, the cause of threefold cosmic functions of manifestation, sustenance, and dissolution. Janmadhyasya Yataha. Therefore, when Vyasa approached the whole Krishna Katha, he wanted not only to celebrate Krishna's glories, and in the process, he also wanted to ensure that we get the very essence of all the Vedanta in a way that ordinary mortals can also comprehend. Because Vedanta is beyond the reach of ordinary mortals. Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupabhrahmayet Vibhet Alpashutat Vedaha Mamayam Pratarishyati. The Vedas and the Vedanta are worried that one would approach them and try to interpret them without the help of Itihasas and Puranas. It is only through Itihasa and Purana that we can really understand the true purport of the Vedas and the Vedanta. And who else can enable us to get the very purport of the Vedas and Vedantas than Vedavyasa himself? Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasa ensures that all the gems of Veda and Vedanta are captured. And it is in Srimad Bhagavatam that Vyasa captures the dialogue between Narayana and Brahma, part of which is celebrated as Chatushloki. 4 shlokas. Chatushloki builds on Chatusutri. It expands and builds on the Chatusutri of Brahma Sutras. 4 shlokas, very profound, containing the very essence of the philosophy of the Vedanta. The journey of life is a search. We are all conscious beings, and therefore innately we are seeking something. Innately we are inquiring. We are always searching for something. Life is all about searching. And this search is nothing but a quest for knowledge. This quest for knowledge is nothing but search for happiness. This search for happiness is nothing but inquiry into truth. And this inquiry into truth is nothing but knowing Bhagavan. Where is the end to this journey? What is the end of all this? Two loaded questions. Where is the end to this journey? What is the end of all this? Now, the end, the word end in these two statements have two different meanings. Where is the end to this journey? End here is conclusion, the final destination. What is the end of all this? Here, end means purpose. So the word end can mean conclusion, can mean purpose. Our life becomes meaningful and successful when both these ends come together. What is the end to this journey of life? The end here is, what is the conclusion of this journey of life? Everlasting happiness. What is the end of all this? The purpose of all this? Everlasting happiness. What is the end of this journey of life? In another way to put it, Krishna. The conclusion. He is the goal of all goals. What is the end of all this? What is the purpose of this very life? Krishna. In a way, this is what Vedanta teaches us. We may be daunted when we start thinking about Vedanta. The Vedanta Vichara is so very crucial to our spiritual journey. But we all think the moment we start talking Vedanta, we are a little uncomfortable. No. We also use Vedanta to mean somebody who confuses us is talking Vedanta. Don't talk Vedanta means he's talking all gibberish. Unfortunately, our subconsciously for us, Vedanta is something which we cannot understand. So therefore, whenever it comes to philosophy, we are a little uncomfortable dealing with it. But what we need to understand is it is very much part and parcel of our journey of life. To our spiritual journey, Vedanta Vichara becomes so very crucial. Now, Vedanta, fortunately or unfortunately, seem to talk in riddles all the time. I said seem to talk in riddles. Vedanta is not talking riddles. It may seem to us with less intellect that it may seem to talk riddles. Vedanta, the end of Vedas. The end of Vedas is the beginning. The end of the Vedas is the endless end of all ends. The beginningless end of life's journey is the end of another beginning. Now, I'm really provoking all of you now because this is not going to be an easy session. Chatushloki Bhagavatam is very profound. So therefore, I'm trying to provoke you to get your attention. We are going to see a lot of riddles. So therefore, when we talk of riddles, life is also filled with riddles. After all, we are solving one riddle after another riddle. Talking of riddles, the riddle of all riddles, those who of us are all married, we all know marriage is a riddle. It's a riddle, it's a game of cards. One says marriage is a riddle of cards. To begin with, one is only worried about two hearts and a diamond at the best. Sooner or later, one realizes all one needs is either a club or a spade. Somebody said, marriage is a riddle. It is a word. Somebody said, no, it is not a word. It is a sentence. So it's a riddle. Is it a word or a sentence? Marriage, is it a word or a sentence? A wise man said, it has to be a sentence, a life sentence. We begin on a lighter note because we are going to get on a serious note very soon. So relax and pay attention to Vedanta Vichara that we are about to embark on. Chatushloki Bhagavata comes in between a glorious conversation between Brahma and Narayana. We have been relishing this conversation, and we relish Brahma's ardent prayers to Narayana. Now, Narayana begins to impart quintessential knowledge to Brahma. He says, hey Brahma, get ready to receive Jnanam Paramaguhyam Vijnanam Sarahasyam Tadangam. So 4 topics that Narayana is going to cover in his conversation with Brahma. So these 4 topics become the topics for each of the 4 shlokas of Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Jnanam Paramaguhyam. Knowledge, jnana, which is Paramaguhyam, is hidden, supremely hidden, not easy to know this jnana. Vijnanam, distinguishing knowledge. Jnanam, knowledge of the nature of Bhagavan. Vijnanam is distinguishing knowledge. Knowledge to distinguish him from everything else. Sarahasyam Tadangam. First topic is Jnanam. Second topic is Vijnanam. Third topic is Rahasyam. The secret, the supreme secret that Narayana says is going to share with Brahma. The supreme secret is the secret of his relationship with this universe, with every other entity. Tadangam, Angam. That's the 4th topic. The ancillary to everything else, to this Rahasya. We will see each of this as we take up each of the shlokas of the Chatushloki. Narayana, after granting the glorious vision of Vaikuntha to Brahma, in a way prepares Brahma for the supreme knowledge. Now Brahma is in that state where he is so blissful that this is the time for him to receive the supreme knowledge. So after preparing Brahma adequately, Narayana imparts the supreme jnana to him. Yavanaham yata bhavaha yad rupa guna karmakaha tathaiva tat vijnanam astute mat anugrahat. He says, before beginning the Chatushloki, Narayana makes a very important introduction. Adanugrahat. Tathaiva tat vijnanam astute. Because Brahma is also worried. Am I capable of receiving that supreme knowledge? It's not just about receiving. Am I capable of comprehending it? We are also worried most often, can we comprehend the profound wisdom of Vedanta? Even when we go through the Gita, which is the quintessential wisdom of Vedanta, most often we have this challenge. Many a times, many of the teachings that Krishna shares with us seem to be not very easy to comprehend right away. It is definitely challenging. It has to be challenging because we need to be prepared, because it's a journey. It's like a student goes to LKG and is wondering, why am I not able to understand E is equal to MC square? Obviously, you need to be patient and go through the process, study 20 years, have mastery in physics and mathematics, and eventually E is equal to MC square, the truth will be revealed when you look at the formula. One has to go through the preparation. So therefore, Brahma also on our behalf expresses this inhibition. Am I adequately prepared? How do I comprehend this profound truth? Narayana assures him. And he also gives a very important message. Do not ever think that you can comprehend. When the time comes, I shall reveal what you need to comprehend. Madanugraha. Tathaiva tattva vijnanamastute madanugraha. When we are able to comprehend something, a truth, it is not because we have achieved some mastery. It is not as though we have achieved something on our own efforts. It only shows that pleased with our sincerity, pleased with our devotion and our commitment to stay on the course, Bhagavan is revealing himself to us. And Narayana says, Yatha bhavaha yad rupa guna karmakaha. I'm going to now reveal to you about myself in totality, my swarupa, my true nature, my swabhava, my characteristics, my rupa, my glorious form. Rupa guna karmakaha. Very clearly demonstrating that the end of the road of the journey is not where we end up reaching, where the end objective is just a principle. There is a glorious form. And the journey is about experiencing him here and hereafter. It is all about experiencing his rupa, guna, vibhuti, aishwarya. Bhagavan is he is the best teacher. And when we experience Bhagavan, who is the best teacher, when we experience the best teacher, his matchless greatness, his glories, then such experience becomes our best teacher. And that experience teaches us that there is nothing else in life and there is nothing else after life other than continuing to blissfully experience his beauty. At the end of the day, we may think that what do we do with all this knowledge? With all the Vedanta Vichara? What is the end of all this knowledge? The end of all this knowledge is the endless bliss of experiencing Bhagavan. Endlessly experiencing him. Endlessly serving him and be in a state of eternal bliss. So Narayana upfront tells Brahma that yad bhavaha, yad rupa, guna, karmakaha, tathaiva tattva vijnanamastu te madanugrahat. So therefore, be prepared to receive the supreme knowledge of who I am, comprehension of my swarupa and swabhava in totality, including my good rupa, guna, vibhuti, and aishwarya. And then he begins the Chatushloki. The first shloka of Chatushloki Bhagavatam deals with jnana. Jnanam paramaguhyam. Ahameva sameva gre nanyat yat sarasat param. That's how straight away Bhagavan addresses how to know him. Narayana starts with aham. It's very important to understand when he is looking at Brahma and says ahameva sameva gre nanyat yat sarasat param. Paschat ahame etach yovasishyeta sosmyaham. Aham, he is pointing to himself. Aham, I, who have manifested in front of you, hey Brahma, in this divine form, in this beautiful form. Aham, ahameva mevagre. I am the one who always existed, even before this created world ever existed. And I existed as aham, I, in this divine form which you are experiencing right now. Nanyad yat sadasat param. And I am beyond sat asat, cause and effects. Paschadaham edetacha yovasishyeta sosmyaham. I am the one who existed right at the beginning, and I am beyond the cause and effect. And after the effect vanishes, I am the one who will exist. Even at the time of dissolution, or at the time of creation, or during the time in between, I am the one who always exists. A very profound statement on the causality. This is Karana Vakya. There are two very important philosophical truths embedded in this very first shloka. This is where Bhagavan talks about two important relationships. Karya Karana Sambandha, Sharira Shariri Sambandha. Two important relationships Bhagavan talks of. This captures the profound declaration made in the Chandogya Upanishad. Sadevya Saumya Idamagramasit Ekameva Advitiyam. Sadev, hey Saumya, Sateva Saumya Idamagramasit. Idamagra, this entire universe, what you see and do not see, this entire universe of all sentient and insentient entities. Idam agre asit, existed even before. It is existing now. It existed even before. Ekameva, it existed as one. Advitiyam, without a second. I started saying Vedanta Vichara is like dealing with riddles. But as Narayana himself promised, Madanugrahat, with his anugraha, we can easily solve the riddle. It may seem like riddles. Ekameva advit, sat eva. Sat here is the Paramatma Narayana. This entire universe of sentient and insentient, agre asit, existed with Sat, with Paramatma. Ekameva, existed as one. Ekameva. Ekameva is the causal state. So therefore, this whole statement is a Karana Vakya. Bhagavan is Sarvakarana, is Akila Karana, is Jagat Karana. He is the Karana, he is also the Karya. he is the cause, he is also the effect. How is it possible? If he is the Karana, if Karana is Brahman, the Paramatma, and the Karya is also Brahman, the Paramatma, the Karya seems to be with a universe filled with variety of forms and names, various manifestations. The Karana, Ekameva, the causal state, is a subtle state without names and forms. The manifested state, the Karya Avastha, seems to be a state filled with infinite variety of names and forms. Ekameva. Therefore, one thing we need to understand from the statement that Bhagavan is the Upadhana Karana. He is the material cause. Material cause, Ekameva. If he is the material cause, immediately we may have a question. Is there another cause apart from Bhagavan? If he is material cause, if he is the clay for a clay pot, is there a potter who is the instrumental cause? Advitiyam. There is no other cause other than him. Adviti. Therefore, by Advitiyam, the statement also declares that he is not only the Upadana Karana, he is also the Nimitta Karana. He is both the material cause and he is also the instrumental cause. He is both the causes rolled into one. Sadeva Soumya Idamagramasit Ekameva Advitiyam. Therefore, the cause is Brahman, the effect is Brahman. Now, how is this possible? Now we have one equation here, Karana and Karya. Now, how is this universe, which is in a subtle state with no names and forms, has become a universe with a variety of names and forms? This is where we need to also understand that Bhagavan is the Shariri, everything else is Sharira. The second relationship, Sharira, Shariri relationship. Now, how do we easily understand this? We have, to understand Sharira, Shariri relationship, we can take the example of the body and the Atman. Now, the Atman is the Shariri, the Sharira, the body is the Sharira. The Sharira keeps changing. It has the state of a child, it has a state of a youth, it has a state of an adult. But the Atman within is changeless, remains the same. The Sharira keeps changing. The Shariri, the Atman, is changeless, remains the same. Similarly, Bhagavan is the Shariri of all the Jivatmas and all the Prakriti. Changeless. The Shariri remains changeless. The Sharira undergoes modification, parinama, transformation. So therefore, Karya, the effect, is the transformation of the Karana. The substrate, which is Bhagavan, the Shariri, remains changeless. It is the attributes of Prakriti and Purusha, Chit and Achit, the Jivatma Samuha and Prakriti, which undergoes transformation. Therefore, the causal state is a subtle state where Bhagavan associated with Chit and Achit in subtle state without any names and forms is the causal state. The effected state is Bhagavan associated with Chit and Achit, where the Chit and Achit, his Sharira, takes a manifested state of filled with names and forms. Therefore, two relationships we need to understand here. Karana, Karya, Shariri, Sharira. Bhagavan is Karana, the universe is Karya. Bhagavan is Shariri, the universe is Sharira. Now, the Karana becoming Karya does not mean Bhagavan is subject to change. It is a Sharira which is subject to change. The Shariri is changeless. The Parinama, the transformation is only happening to his Sharira. Just like how we can experience our own body undergoing transformation all the time. The Shariri, the Atman within, does not undergo any transformation. So the same, if we apply the same analogy here, very clearly. Sadeva Saumya Idamagramasit Ekameva Advitiyam. He is Upadhana Karana, is Nimitta Karana. Therefore, as Narayana tells Bhagavan, Ahamevasam Evagre. I am the one who existed right at the beginning, at the time of dissolution. I existed in with this whole universe in its causal state without names and forms. Everything existed without names and forms. And when the creation started, it is nothing but manifestations of all attributes of Bhagavan, the Chit and Achit manifesting with variety of names and forms. Ahamevasam evagre nanyad yat sadasat param paschat aham edetacha yovasishyeda sosnyaham. Paschat. When dissolution happens, this entire Jivatma Samuha and Prakriti with all its names and forms in a gross state goes back to its subtle state. So the causal state is a subtle state of Brahman with Chitanachit as its Sharira in a subtle state, and the effect, the Karya, is Brahman with Chitanachit in a gross state. Subtle to gross, the manifestation is only for his Sharira. Thus, the very first shloka in Chatushloki Bhagavatam establishes two important relationships. Bhagavan is Karana. This universe is Karya, the effect. He is the cause of all causes. And everything that we see is his effect. And the cause is embedded in the effect. The cause is embedded in the effect. The effect has no meaning without the cause. He is very much embedded within the effect. There is no existence of the effect without the cause. This is the beauty. Just like how, if we take this composite form of a human being, the Atma and the Sharira are together. Similarly, this whole universe is Bhagavan Sharira. And this whole universe has no meaning without the Shariri. The only difference is, in this analogy of a human body, the Atman and the Sharira have only a temporary relationship. Whereas this whole universe, which is the Sharira of Bhagavan, that relationship is a permanent, inseparable, eternal relationship. So he is the cause, this universe is the effect, and in the effect is embedded the cause. Now, having given the gist of this jnana, of the nature of his Swarupa, then Bhagavan continues and he says, Rite artam yat pratiyeta. This again is another riddle. All four shlokas are riddles only. Rite artam yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta cha atmani. Tat vidyat atmano bhayam yatha bhaso yatha tamaha. He says, if you directly translate it, when you see Prakriti, you don't see the Purusha. When you see the Purusha, you don't see Prakriti. When you see Prakriti, you don't see Purusha. When in Prakriti's appearance, Purusha's presence is completely missed out. When we see each other, we are only seeing our physical bodies. In fact, we will look at somebody who says, I see the Atman within you. Now, ideally, that's what we should be doing. But let us say if somebody goes and introduces himself, I am the Atman, I am very happy to meet you, the other Atman. Unfortunately, we then try to give quote unquote names to such people. But in reality, the nature of Prakriti in Purusha is such a way that in Prakriti's appearance, Purusha is not seen. In Purusha's appearance, Prakriti is not seen. When we look at the appearance of the body, which is made up of the Panchabhutas, which is the product of Prakriti, the Jivatma Tattva is not perceptible. Similarly, when we recognize the Jivatma Tattva, we do not see the Prakriti Tattva there. Why? Yata bhaso yata tamaha. Prakriti and Purusha, Chit and Achit, are like chalk and cheese, light and darkness. They are completely different, completely distinct. No, like somebody said, no, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, something like that. No? That's the reason why in our colloquial language we use Prakriti and Prakriti is Stri and Purusha is male and female. We say Purusha and Prakriti, knowing fully well that these two can never bond. And somebody said in a marriage there is always one who keeps forgetting the anniversaries, and the other is one who always remembers. And that's the bond. This is a special bond where one always keeps forgetting, the other is always remembering. And then, knowing this shloka, then we can yatha. In this shloka, Narayana very clearly says the reason why Prakriti and Purusha like light and darkness. He says, Tad vidyat atmano mayam. That is my maya, that is my power, he says. So knowing this shloka now, when one forgets, to all the men here, when you forget the anniversary, you don't need to worry. With a very solemn face, you can say, Tat vidyat atmano mayam. But then don't come to me if there are adverse consequences. Then I will say that vidyat atmano mayam. That is also Bhagavan's maya only. Yogic power. Atmano maya. Maya here is wondrous powers of Bhagavan. What is this wondrous power of Bhagavan? What is this maya? He is bringing together two entities which are so very distinct and different. They have no business with each other. Prakriti and Purusha are like light and darkness. How can light and darkness coexist? We can't even comprehend, we can't even think of. But look at the beauty. Prakriti and Purusha are always like this. While the Jivatma, the Atma Tattva is Atma is Anu. Atma is Sukshma. Atma is Ananda. Nirvikara. Nirguna. Look at Prakriti. Prakriti is gross. Sthula. Prakriti is made up of the three gunas. Is Vikara, always subject to change. Atma is never subject to change. Ajo nityah shasvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. But that never changing, eternally blissful, supposed to be eternally blissful Atma Tattva, which is like light, and Prakriti Tattva, which is like darkness, always subject to change, made of three gunas, they seem to be bonded forever. What is the cause of this bondage? Bhagavan says, Tat vidyad atmano maya. That is my Atma Maya, that is my Maya. That is, the Maya here is wondrous powers, bringing them together. It's like Vedanta gives this analogy of a blind man and a lame man. A lame man who cannot walk but he can see. A blind man who can walk but he cannot see. Prakriti is like the blind man, full of activity, no knowledge, devoid of any knowledge. Whereas the lame man has knowledge, can see, seeing here is knowing, but cannot walk, no activity. But to cross over the jungle of samsara, this lame man and blind man has to come together. The lame man, sitting on the shoulders of the blind man, has to direct, and then with the help of the blind man can walk and cross over. So therefore, the Atma needs Prakriti. Prakriti also needs the Atma, even though they are distinct and different. Now, when Brahma looks at how is this possible that these two things have come together, Narayana says that vidyad atmano mayam. And also, what is the Maya of Bhagavan here? Both of these tattvas have no meaning by themselves. The Jivatma has no separate existence without the Paramatma. He is inseparably related to the Paramatma. Prakriti has no separate existence, inseparably related to Bhagavan. So therefore, their very existence is totally dependent. Both these, Bhokta, Bhogyam, Preritaram Chamatva, Yushtastatastena Amritatvameti, the Shastra says. One is the Bhokta, the Jivatma. Bhogyam is the object of experience. Bhokta is the experiencer. Preritaram Chamatva. What very important to understand, even in that analogy of the lame man and the blind man, lame man and blind man together cannot cross over the samsara. Bhokta Bhogyam, Preritaram is needed, the ruler is needed. Preritaram Chamatva. Preritaram is Ishvara Bhagavan, Narayana, who is the ruler. So therefore, here with the second shloka, Vijnana, the distinguishing characteristic. Bhagavan is distinct and different from Prakriti and Purusha. He is the Purushottama. And without him, neither Prakriti nor Purusha has any independent existence. Both are dependent on him. But the beauty is, they are dependent on him. He is very much in them, but he is also not tainted with his association with them. He is completely blemishless. So Narayana, in the first two shlokas, covers Jnanam and Vijnanam. Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhuteshu Cha Avacheshvaru. This is the third shloka where Rahasya. Now, if Jnana and Vijnana seem to be riddles, Rahasya has to be even more difficult as a riddle, right? So, Bhagavan constructs it beautifully. This is the very crux of knowing why this is Rahasya. Ultimately, knowing this, there is nothing else to be known. That is why it is Rahasya. It is a secret to those who are not initiated. It is secret to those revelation has not happened. Yata Mahanti Bhutani Bhuteshu Cha Avacheshvanu Pravishtani Apravishtani Tathateshu Nateshvaham. This is where the riddle part comes. Tathateshu Natveshvaham. I am there, but I am not there. Yata Mahanti Bhutani. Here, Bhagavan gives the example. Yata Mahanti Bhutani. Every object that we see in this created world is made up of Panchabhutas. Yata Mahanti Bhutani. Here, Bhuteshu Ucha Avacheshvanu. Superior or inferior entities in this created world doesn't matter. Every entity has a form, has a body. Every embodiment, whether it is superior, Ucha or Avacheshvan, or inferior, doesn't matter. All are products of Prakriti. Now, the beauty is all the Panchabhutas are present in all the forms that we see. They are also present outside the forms that we see as well. They exist within and they exist without. He's giving this analogy. It's a very rough analogy, but Bhagavan also knows that only through these materialistic analogies, we can also understand the truth. So he's saying, just like how the elements, the Panchabhutas, pervade and are present in every physical body, and at the same time, they're also present outside. Pravishtani, Apravishtani, Tathateshu Natveshvaham. Similarly, I also pervade every entity. I am present in every entity, and I'm also not present. I'm also outside. Pravishtani, Apravishtani, Tathateshu. I am in them. I'm also not in them. Just like how a pot has all the Panchabhutas in it. Now, if the pot breaks and becomes dust, it does not mean the Panchabhutas have become dust. It's only the pot is, the form is going through various transformations. The Panchabhutas do not go through this transformation. Similarly, Bhagavan says, I am in every entity, but the blemishes of that entity Do not taint me. So that's the example he's trying to give. Also, he says, just like how these Panchabhutas are present and pervade within every object and also outside, I also do the same. For those of us who remember the shloka from the 9th chapter of the Gita, Rajaguhya, Rajavidyam, where Bhagavan also talks of Jnanam, Guhya Jnana. He says, Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani nachaham teshavastitaha nachamatstani bhutani pashyame yogameshwaram bhutavarnacha bhutastaha mamatma bhutabhavanaha. Krishna here is the riddle master. If we translate these lines, very interesting. But the moment we solve the riddle, we are in a state of awe. So beautiful. And we see suddenly, it's not complicated at all. It is very simple. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. Idam sarvam, this entire universe of sentient, insentient, all the jivas and all matter, Maya tadam, I are pervaded by me. Jagada avyakta murtina. By pervasion, Bhagavan says, I am the Antaratma who pervades. I am not only the Antaratma, Avyakta Murti, I am also the Antaryami who controls from within. Therefore, pervasion is for only one reason, to control and support from within, to sustain from within, pervasion. And this Avyakta Murtina, my pervasion, hey Arjuna, is imperceptible, not easy to comprehend. It is like a fish in water, which comes out and talks to another fish, says, where is water? It's like that. Bhagavan's pervasion is beyond our comprehension. Avyakta Murtina. Maya tadamidam sarvam jagadavyakta Murtina matstani sarvabhutani. I will first just translate, just straightforward, to just to get the feel of the riddle. Matstani sarvabhutani. All are in me. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. I am not in them. Nachamastani bhutani. They are not in me. What is Krishna trying to say here? I pervade, he says, I payatatabidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina. I pervade, he says. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. He says, I pervade every entity, but I am not in them, he says. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. I am not situated in them. When he says I pervade, which means, how can he say he is not in each and every entity? Krishna says, the moment I say I pervade, immediately human mind start to think this universe, every entity is the container, Bhagavan is the contained. Now, when we start relating to this container-contained relationship, immediately we conclude the container limits the contained. Taking a material analogy, a blotting paper, when ink pervades the blotting paper, the ink pervades, ink is the contained, the blotting paper is the container, but the container here limits the contained. When he says, Maya tatamidam sarvam, I pervade, in order for us to understand that his pervasion, his immanence is not limited by the contained. Nachaham teshu avastitaha. I am immanent, I am also transcendent. This contained universe, this container does not limit me whatsoever. Maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani. All are situated in me, which means I am the supporter. Now, when Bhagavan says, I am the supporter, immediately our human mind start to think, how can I visualize Bhagavan supporting me? Okay, just like how a pot supports water. So is Bhagavan supporting me like how a pot supports water? In order to clarify, he says, Nachamatstani bhutani, Nachamatstani bhutani. He says, everyone is in me, supported by me, but I am not in them, in the sense they are not in me like the pot. It is the supporter relationship is not like water and pot. Therefore, then how Bhagavan does the support? How Bhagavan pervades? He gives the answer. Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. This is Pashyame, hey Arjuna. Behold, Yogamaishwaram. This wondrous power of Yogam here is Dhyana Rupaka Sankalpa Shakti. It is Sankalpa. It is purely his will. With his will alone he pervades. With his will alone he supports and sustains. Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. Bhuta Bhanna cha Bhutastaha Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavanaha. I support every entity, and no, I don't need any other support, and it is by my will. Mama Atma Bhuta Bhavanaha. The functions of support and sustenance is carried out only through my will and will alone. This is his Yogamaishwaram. Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. That is exactly what Bhagavan here is telling Brahma. He says, Yatha Mahanti Bhutani, giving the analogy. Yatha Mahanti Bhutani Bhuteshu cha Avacheshvanu Pravishtani Apravishtani Tatha Teshu Tatveshvaham. So therefore, understand that I pervade and I support and I am the Adhara, I am the Sarvaniyantrutva, I am the Sarvaniyanta, and I am the one who, because of my Sankalpa Shakti, carry out these functions. This pervasion, support, and sustenance is purely out of my Sankalpa Shakti. Therefore, here the relationship here, Bhagavan very clearly brings out. This is why it is Rahasya, because what is this Rahasya of pervasion? How he pervades, in what manner by pervading, what all he manages to do, and how does he carry out the support of everything that he has created. In one shloka, Bhagavan gives the answer. Pashyame Yogamaishwara. It is, this Yogamaishwara is wondrous Dhyana Rupaka Sankalpa Shakti. Etavadeva Jignasyam. Etavadeva Jignasyam Tattva Jignasunatmanaha. Jignasunatmanaha. Here, this is the fourth concluding shloka of Chatushloki. Etavadeva Jignasyam Tattva Jignasunatmanaha. To a Tattva Jignasu, who is a Tattva Jignasu? Bhagavat Tattva Jignasu, one who is seeking to know Bhagavan, one who is in the process of inquiry, one who is wanting to experience Bhagavan. He is a Tattva Jignasu. Etavadeva Jignasyam. Bhagavan says, this is the end of that road. He says, this is where everything culminates. This is the point until which he needs to journey. And once he reaches this point of knowing this jnana, vijnana, and rahasyam, journey comes to an end. But the end is endless. That's the key to understand. Etavadeva jignasyam tattva jignasunatmanaha. And he said, how do I go this jignasu? What is the means? The means he is giving. Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam, he says. Anvaya Vyatirekabhyam Yatsyat Sarvatra Sarvada. The means to be adopted by the one, the seeker, is the means of Anvaya and Vyatireka. Anvaya Vyatireka, direct, indirect, presence, absence, positive injunction, negative proposition. These are the meanings of Anvaya and Vyatireka. Let me give examples so that we understand. Anvaya Vyatireka. How do I know him? Through the means of Anvaya and Vyatireka. Anvaya is presence. Now, there is this pot, clay pot. The clay pot is present. With the presence of the clay pot, I can comprehend the presence of clay. This is Anvaya. Now, Vyatireka, even when the clay pot is absent, the clay is very much there. I can still comprehend the presence of clay. The clay pot can possibly would have become a clay mug or any other object made of clay. The clay pot is absent, but the clay is still there. This is Vyatireka. Therefore, through the means of Anvaya and Vyatireka, I can recognize the changelessness of Bhagavan throughout the cycle, right? Between manifestation, between creation and dissolution. More importantly, the essence of this shloka, this is the concluding part of Chatushloki Bhagavatam, and Bhagavan very clearly says, the culmination of all inquiry is only one thing, one and one thing. The culmination of all this inquiry, all this vichara is only bhakti, is only upasana. How is Bhagavan bringing this, the doctrine of bhakti here? Anvaya Vyatireka Yatsya Sarvatra Sarvada. Anvaya Vyatireka. Vyatireka is negative injunction. Anvaya is positive proposition. What are these? Anvaya is not to do this. Vyatireka is not to do. Anvaya is to do. Where is an example we can take from? We can borrow an example, a beautiful example from the Gita. Naham vedairna tapasa nadanena chejjaya shakya evam vidodrishtum drishtabanyasi mam yatha. This is Vyatireka. What is Vyatireka here? Naham vedairna tapasa nadanena chejjaya. Not through study of Vedas, not through performing charity, not through performing austerities, not through performing yagas and yajnas and worship, one can know me. Just by study of Vedas, just by performance of charity, performance of austerities, and doing various kinds of worship, one cannot know Bhagavan. Then, how do I know him? Anvaya. Bhaktya Ananyaya Shakya Ahamevam Vidorjuna Nyatum Drashtum Chatatvena Praveshtum Cha Parantapa. This is the positive proposition, positive injunction. Bhaktya Ananyaya Shakya Ahamevam Vido. There is no other way, hey Arjuna. Therefore, Krishna is not saying, do not study Vedas, do not do charity, do not do austerities, do not perform worship. He says, Bhaktya Ananyaya Shakya. Study Vedas with bhakti. Perform austerities with bhakti. Perform charity with bhakti. Perform worship with bhakti. Vananyaya bhaktya vananyaya shakyah aham. Only through the means of bhakti and bhakti alone, one can know me and one can see me and attain me. Bhaktya vananyaya shakyah ahamevam vidorjuna nyatum drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Therefore, with the fourth shloka of Chatushloki Bhagavatam, Bhagavan very clearly says that the road of inquiry, the journey of inquiry, after having acquired jnana, vijnana, unraveling the mystery of rahasya, reaches to a point. Etavadeva jignasyam tattva jignasunatmanaha. Reaches a point. Etavadeva, certainly it reaches this, the culmination of all inquiry, the culmination of all human endeavor is God love. That is a categorical statement. That is why in the very beginning of his commentary to Brahma Sutras, Swami Ramanuja in his Sri Bhashya begins with a Mangala Shloka. Akila Bhuvana Janmastema Bangadi Lile Vinata Vivita Bhuta Vrata Rakshaika Dikshe Shruti Sirasi Vidite Brahmani Srinivase Bhavatu Mama Parasmin Semushi Bhakti Rupa, he says. Semushi Bhakti Rupa. Knowledge transforming, maturing into deep, undivided, unflinching, unswerving love of Bhagavan. Bhakti Rupa Panna Jnana. Jnana and Bhakti are not two different things. Jnana, the knowledge acquired, has to mature and blossom and result in the fruit of devotion. And it is that light of Jnana that reveals Bhagavan in all his glories. And thus, having imparted Jnana, Vijnana, Rahasya, Bhagavan concludes his exposition to Brahma by saying, this Bhakti is the culmination. Bhakti is the means to Mukti, and the blissful state of Mukti is qualified by Bhakti. Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu.